Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch. Please subscribe to our videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. This is a review of the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra 150M Co-Axial Master Chronometer, 41mm. Long name, as most Omega watches do. For 2017, Omega came out with a slew of new Aqua Terra models. You'd have to look kind of closely to know if you just sort of were aware of the Aqua Terra collection, but there's a number of nice changes, including the great caliber, in-house made caliber 8900 automatic movement, which is fully meta certified. It's totally anti-magnetic. It's pretty looking. It is an automatic with the time and the date. It's a chronometer. It's just a great robust movement. 60 hours of power reserve, 4 Hertz. Good movement. I think Omega today is really up there when it comes to movement quality. If you really want some of the most interesting and nice looking and useful tool watch movements around, it's really hard to beat Omega. The Aqua Terra is kind of like a daily wear sports watch. It's not meant to be a dive watch. It's not necessarily meant to be a sports watch. It's meant to be something that a person that likes to be active and likes to focus on utility and tool watches would wear with a suit when they want to have a little bit more of a lifestyle look. Now this is one of the more, I'll call it unique versions of the dial, because it's sort of silvery with this horizontal striping that is supposed to be reminiscent of teak wood on the deck of a boat. I really like the applied hour markers and the hands because they have a nice, it's almost a gunmetal look with a really nice flat surfacing. And so I like to use this as an example of doing polished surfaces on a dial correctly. And what's correct about it is that they're all flat. Rounded polished surfaces on a watch dial are, for me, a giant no-no. Having the orange hand there also makes it a little bit distinctive, because you wouldn't necessarily think of that on a lot of elegant or dress watches. So this is somewhere in between, but there are many different versions of the Aqua Terra available now, so that if this particular dial didn't do it for you, there's a lot of other choices. One of the things I want to mention is that the versions on the strap, and it is a really nice strap these days, has, call it a tab. It's a tab right here on both ends, and I asked Omega, I was like, why does it have this tab here? They just said to make it more interesting. I think the goal for any brand is that when people see the watch from this side or underneath, people know what it is. And you can tell that some of the most popular watches in the world are immediately recognizable, not just the name of the model, but also who made it. This version of the Aqua Terra is 41mm wide. There are also 38mm wide men's versions of it. I think that some people would consider it a little bit on the thicker side for a dress watch. I think that the DeVille models from Omega are probably going to be thinner for sure. This is not as thick as some other ones. If you are terribly concerned about thickness, well, then you might want to consider some other watches. But if you like something a little bit more substantial, yet very neutral and conservative in its wearability, I mean, this is very versatile. You could wear it with a bunch of stuff. It would really fit in. Again, this version with this silvery dial and the orange hand, it's super legible. Not for everyone, for sure, but it's interesting, and it means that, you know, you don't just have to get the white dial, the black dial, the blue dial, the gray dial. This is a little bit more inspired and interesting. This comes on the bracelet, which is fine. Omega still seems to not quite be up there with Rolex when it comes to bracelet quality. The bracelet's comfortable and fine, but for years I think a lot of us have really wanted Omega to up their game a little bit when it comes to the bracelets. And some of the newer ones are great, but you actually have to spend more. And so this model is closer to entry level for a men's mechanical Omega watch. So I think that's why. I would have really liked, for example, the bracelet to taper. It might taper, but I don't think it does at all. It does have a half link down here, which is good, which means that when you size it, you can get a more precise fit. But I think that the bracelet quality should match the overall really good quality of the case. It's not to say it's a bad bracelet by any means. It's totally fine. I don't have an issue with it. But since I admire Omega so much, I just want to point out that I think that that's an area that they could do a little bit better on, especially because of, I think that they sort of owe it to the people that buy the watch. Because when you buy an Omega, you have a high expectation because they're great watches, and they have a lot of great watches, and I just want every part of the watch to be amazing. But admittedly, I am an overeducated snob when it comes to identifying and critiquing timepieces. Price for this version of the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra 150M is $5,500. Not too bad. A lot of money, but you get a decent watch. You can see the full review on aBlogtoWatch. Thanks.